Question 7. The product of three consecutive positive integers is 720. Which choice does not model the situation? So some helpful hints. We want to write an expression for each of the integers. So I have that right here. So integer 1, that would just be like the first integer you're starting with. So that first number. And we could let that be represented by n. You could choose x, but a lot of times we use n for number. So let's say your first integer was I don't know, 100. So the next integer, okay, the next consecutive integer would be 101. And how did we get from 100 to 101? Well, we just added 1 to get to the next consecutive integer. Okay, and then to get to integer number 3, from 1, I would have to add another 1. Okay, so n plus 1 plus another 1, which is really n plus 2. Now it's asking me for the product. So here's the key information. Okay, and product we know means to multiply, and we want it to be equal to 720. So when I go write my expression, I multiply them together because product means multiply. So it's n times n plus 1 times n plus 2, and that all equals 720. Now we go ahead and do our multiplying. So when I have the three binomials here. Well, this isn't a binomial, but I have three terms that I need to multiply together, okay, separated by parentheses here. So I'm going to start by distributing, I can distribute that n by this first term, okay, so I'm going to have, I don't have that step written out here, so I'm going to write it out for us. So I would have n squared plus n, because n times n is n squared and n times 1 is n. And then I have all of that times n plus 2 equals 720. Okay, now I want to know which one of these does not model the situation. On your test, it's going to be the one that actually models. But this was my first step. Okay, so this is a true statement. So that is not my answer. I want the one that's not true. Okay, then from here to here, I'd have to distribute again. So I'd have to multiply or kind of shoot my rainbows twice. So the n squared times the n, and then the n squared times the 2. Okay, so n squared times n, that's what gives me the n cubed. And then n squared times 2 would be plus 2n squared. Then I do it again for my second term. So then I'm going to have n times n, or n squared. And then n times 2 is 2n. Okay, now all of this in the middle here, these are both n squared terms, and I can simplify those or combine those. Whoops. I can combine those because they're like terms. So 2n squared plus n squared, that's really just like 1n squared. That gives me this 3n squared. That's where that term is coming from. So this is a true situation for this problem. So I can eliminate choice B, okay? Oh, and look, this was, okay, so then here, notice how in my next step, they have set it all equal to 0. So to set it equal to 0, they moved the 720 to the other side of my equation so that this would equal 0. So this also was a true statement, so that would not be the answer. And D is not the answer, and it's clearly not the answer because notice how they're separated by plus signs. That would be the sum, and my problem asks me for the product. So that's another way I could have eliminated that choice right away.